The mighty McLaren-Honda juggernaut continued its rampage into the 1990s, though without Alain Prost, who had moved to Ferrari, following all-out war with teammate Ayrton Senna. And it was memories of 1989 when the pair clashed again in Japan in 1990 for the title to be decided, this time in Senna's favor. The irrepressible Brazilian racer secured his third title with McLaren in 1991, before Williams returned to dominance with its series of high-tech active suspension cars. Nigel Mansell rocketed to the crown in 1992, with Prost coming back from a forced sabbatical for his fourth in 1993. Active suspension was banned from 1994, giving rise to Benetton and its star driver Michael Schumacher, but not before F1's blackest weekend at Imola, where Roland Ratzenberger and Senna died.
It's always said that something like this must happen first before something is changed, but in the end of the day it's important that something changed. And I have to say, after this moment, FIA did a fantastic job together with the racetracks, changing racetrack layouts, changing safety criteria, change crash tests.
Schumacher earned his maiden title that year after a controversial crash with main rival Williams' Damon Hill in Adelaide, going back-to-back in 1995 before switching to Ferrari. The prancing horse had work to do to get up to speed against a strong Williams team from 1996, with Hill and then Jacques Villeneuve, son of icon Gilles, world champion. But it was a short renaissance, with a Ron Dennis-led McLaren Mercedes closing out the 1990s with Mika Hakkinen romping to 2 straight F1 drivers' crowns. 1999 made a little easier after Schumacher broke his leg at Silverstone.
When I was racing against the Ferrari with McLaren Mercedes, they were catching us all the time. That's why I have so easy to talk about it, because I know exactly how it goes. Yes, and today, how Ferrari getting closer to Mercedes, it is like a memory when I was racing in my time. And it's a nerve-cracking. It's really tough for the drivers, for the designers to keep going, keep developing in the right direction.
Schumacher returned to F1 in Malaysia, and things were about to heat up as the sport moved into the new millennium. McLaren remained competitive into the new millennium, with flying Finn Mika Hakkinen and David Coulthard behind the wheel. But Ferrari went supersonic, with the F1 2000 a result of a dream team behind the scenes, including Jean Todt as team principal, Ross Brawn as technical director, designer Rory Byrne, an almost unbeatable combination that saw Michael Schumacher storm to 5 straight drivers' titles, supported by Rubens Barrichello. The prancing horse, though, was stopped in its tracks in 2005 by a new tyre regulation that forced all teams to run the same set in qualifying and the race, dropping it back. As Renault capitalized with young gun Fernando Alonso, who became the first Spaniard to lift Formula One's heavy crown. Alonso went back-to-back in 2006 against Schumacher, who retired for the first time at the end of the year as F1 shifted from V10 to V8 engines. Alonso switched to McLaren the next season, but came up against rookie Lewis Hamilton, who passed him for third into Turn 1 at the first race in Melbourne, setting up an intra-team war. That squabble cost both drivers the crown, which went to Ferrari's Kimi Raikkonen at the final round in Brazil, along with the constructors when the Spygate saga blew up, when the Scuderia's complete technical data was discovered at then McLaren technical director Mike Coughlin's house, which led to McLaren being excluded and fined $100 million. 2008 saw F1's greatest ever final round showdown, with Ferrari's Felipe Massa racing Hamilton for the title in Brazil, with the Brit getting the place he needed at the final corner on the last lap. But the thrills continued into 2009, when Brawn GP was created from the ashes of the Honda team, after the Japanese manufacturer pulled out at the end of the previous year. It was to be an F1 fairy tale, the car featuring a double diffuser that was eventually deemed legal, with Button winning 6 of the first 7 races and hanging on for the title against the stronger Red Bulls.
Formula One, things move so quickly, and the other teams have got such big resources compared with us. We knew they were going to catch up. I mean, it's going to be difficult for us, and I can see this going down to the last 4 races, but, you know, I hope we can be up there.
Button won the title at the penultimate race in Brazil with a storming drive to 5th from 14th on the grid, handing him the points he needed as the 2010s beckoned. Jenson Button won the 2009 World Championship with Brawn, but didn't stick around, jumping to McLaren with fellow title winner Lewis Hamilton. And while the pair won races, with Button keeping the title chase alive to the final round in Abu Dhabi, Red Bull Racing was rising to power, with Sebastian Vettel its top man. The Germans stormed to 4 straight World Championship doubles from 2010 to 2013, with the final one the most impressive, 13 wins, equaling his idol Michael Schumacher's record for most in a season, including 9 straight to end the year, a reflection of absolute dominance.
It's like the other years, the team has proven that you know, we're very, very strong, developing the car, improving the car throughout the season, and towards the end, I think we were all inside the team. We were all surprised by the, you know, by the performance we had the last couple of races. Sometimes lapping, you know, half a second to a second faster than everyone else was a big surprise for us.
But Vettel's eventually failed switch to Ferrari was but a footnote in F1's hybrid era that brought even greater dominance from Mercedes.
I think it's been an exceptional journey. They stole a march on the other manufacturers when the hybrid technology came along. They saw that opportunity, they invested early and heavily in it. And they've been reaping the rewards of that the last few seasons. You know, Lewis winning his back-to-back titles, Nico eventually, and finally coming through and winning a title.
And that strength in depth has carried the Silver Arrows to 7 straight world title doubles to the end of 2020. With Great Britain Lewis Hamilton now a 7-time world champion, equaling the record set by Michael Schumacher, who he replaced at the Silver Arrows in the German second stint. Hamilton's sights are now locked on an 8th crown to become outright, statistically, the greatest Grand Prix driver of all time. 2020 was a difficult year, with the brutal COVID-19 pandemic affecting all corners of the globe, with F1 forced to cancel a raft of races, including the season-opening Australian Grand Prix, before action got underway at the Austrian Grand Prix in July, with the revised 17-round calendar going through to Abu Dhabi in December, the sport working in a COVID-safe bubble.
Of all, I would say the COVID bubble, it works. I mean, we had the case with Checo, Perez, but things can happen. It was very good. I mean, you almost couldn't feel it. Everything was under control. There was never a panic or not knowing that protocol was there. It was followed.
And while the sport is preparing for 2021 to again be run COVID-safe, it's also laser-focused on another important matter: the start of F1's new era from 2022. One that promises much closer competition and sexier cars to attract future generations to this most gladiatorial of sports.
I think it's a wonderful sport, wonderful stars, wonderful teams, really a unique combination of competition and technology. And we can make it much bigger and more exciting for fans than it is, and that's really what we're aspiring to do.
To do that, F1 has taken a broom to its regulations for sweeping changes across its technical, sporting, and financial spheres. The new cars will use ground effect aerodynamics to direct the turbulent air skyward and not into the path of the chasing car, which destroys aero performance and a driver's ability to close up and pass. The biggest challenges ahead, though, are for the top teams, keeping budgets under the $145 million cost cap. And for all squads, when to switch resources, and by how much. Regardless, the drivers are pumped for the new direction, including F1's reigning 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton.
It does what it says on paper. I think we're going to see perhaps could be the best era of racing that we've seen in a long, long time. And I want to be there if it is the case, because then that's another opportunity for me to continue to show my abilities and test my abilities each time I go out.
It's an exciting time for F1 as the sport races fearlessly forward following 7 decades of success and legendary moments. Thanks for watching. To stay up to speed on all things Formula One, make sure you hit the subscribe button.